Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the books Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate, as well as Theta-Waves Meditation. And I'll put links to my books below. This video is about the major downside of a truly loving person. I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms because most people would want to be with this type of individual, but there is a darker aspect that is rarely talked about. To better understand this concept is that we have to look at the four main MBTI personality types. So we have the sensor judgers, the sensor perceivers, the intuitive thinkers, and the intuitive feelers. And a person who's truly loving is really part of the intuitive feelers. So yes, people might have moments that they are really kind to others and they really are concerned about other people's well-being, but it's not something that happens like 80% of the time. And people who are truly loving are right brain dominant and have an alpha or theta brainwave dominance. So it's rather rare. So according to my favorite spiritual teacher, David R. Hawkins, it's only about 4% of the population who actually fall into that group. So you won't meet many of them. And even let's say if you look at the intuitive feelers, is that you will meet more ENFPs, INFPs than ENFJs or INFJs. INFJs, you know, it's probably you'll never meet one. ENFJs is probably like 0.4% of population, so it's very rare. The main issue when a person is part of that group is that they tend to believe that others are truly kind and that really people only need to have more love, more understanding, and really when a person is truly loving is that they are really concerned about other people's well-being, because at that level what happens is that they start producing natural endorphins. So if let's say a person feels good on a regular basis, they can focus on somebody else. And that's what most people don't understand, is that you cannot give what you don't have. And what happens when a person is in that headspace is that they believe that others are like them, which is not the case, because most people on earth are not truly loving. I mean, they can have moments where, you know, they do the right thing and they are concerned about others' well-being, but it's more of an exception more than the rule. Because if you look at even the history of humankind, you know, we've been at war for like more than 90% of our history. If we were truly loving, we would not be fighting on a regular basis like that. Now, to better understand what we mean by the danger of a person's truly loving is that if you compare the ENFJ to the INFJ, some people believe that, well, one is the introverted version of the other. It's true, but there's a major difference between these two. The reason being is that an ENFJ has extroverted feeling as their first function and introverted intuition their second function. So this person is more concerned about harmony than truth. They will deny the truth just to get along with others, which is different from a person who's an INFJ. INFJ wants absolute truth, so they are willing to sacrifice harmony to uphold absolute truth. And now, if a person is in a relationship with an ENFJ versus an INFJ, it's going to be very different, because the ENFJ normally is very much focused about harmony and is willing to sort of deny the truth to get along with others. Also, they have introverted thinking as their fourth function, so they're not very logical. And if an ENFJ is in a relationship with someone who's very dysfunctional, they often become an enabler of that type of dysfunctionality. So the person, they make others worse over time, because they believe that the only thing that the person needs is more understanding and more kindness. But the person who is dysfunctional believes that, well, I can continue with this, you know, strange and dysfunctional behavior because this person is so accommodating. But if let's say a person is in a relationship with an INFJ, and really INFJs are should be their own category, because like really when you think about the INFJ, their first function is introverted intuition, and their second function is extrovert feeling, and their third function is introverted thinking. So this person's main goal is absolute truth. and they are willing to sacrifice harmony for absolute truth, and they're more logical than the ENFJ. So it's a different beast altogether. And also what happens, let's say if a person is an INFJ, is that there are different levels. For example, you have Mahatma Gandhi level of INFJ, or you have Mother Teresa, but then you move on to, like, you know, Jesus Christ and Buddha. So there are different degrees of being an INFJ, and people rarely talk about that. But what people need to know about INFJs is that they are not enablers of toxic relationships. So if a person is not willing to face absolute truth, they will not get along with the INFJ. And also is that at that level is that the person is truly peaceful. Peace is at a higher level than even unconditional love. And for peace to exist, absolute truth must be followed. The INFJ may not get along with the other intuitive feelers because they're so committed to absolute truth. And on this planet, the most controversial thing you can do is live and actually speak your truth. That's why I think that a lot of people online don't really understand maybe those different personality types, because they're really about levels of spiritual evolution. And I would really encourage people to read the books by David R. Hawkins, for example, Power versus Force, to really understand the link between brain types and level of spiritual evolution. I have observed that many people online and in real life use the word love, but unless someone has reached the level of the intuitive feelers, it's more of a theory more than something they can practice on a regular basis, especially when it's inconvenient. But there is an aspect of the intuitive feelers that are rarely talked about, especially when the intuitive feeler has either FI or FE as their first function, because that aspect of them of being empathetic actually is exaggerated. So intuitive feelers may unconsciously encourage others to continue in their dysfunctional behaviors, because in their minds they really think that if they pour more love, the person will heal, and it really becomes more toxic empathy more than really uplifting the person and helping them grow spiritually. So let me know what you think about the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.